All right. So let's start with what questions do you have that's pressing that you need answers to first?
First of all, thank you.
You're welcome.
um, really appreciate this. Um, so, for us, we've been fighting this battle for almost 5 years.
Okay.
And to give you a little bit of background, the way we came to the Lord actually was through a terrible lawsuit and a bankruptcy in 2009.
Okay.
Um, so, the last thing we wanted to ever do was do bankruptcy again. But we are looking at all of our options. And if there's some miraculous way that we can still trudge through this, we'd like to try.
Okay.
But if we can't, then that's probably going to be our last resort. Which
Okay. So
isn't something
let's
we.
talk about the income because you're not showing much income at all here.
Okay. So this is the thing. Okay. I gave you the taxable income for last year. We have a lot of write offs. So in order for me to hack this every month, I need to make a minimum of $14,000.
Yes.
Um, and that's not counting paying our subs or materials or anything like that. That's just strictly the monthly bills.
Yes.
God has provided. Literally, sometimes it's the day before the end of the month where we're able to do it.
Okay.
But we have had to borrow over $60,000 from family just to keep this going.
What's your plan?
I don't have a plan. I'm
Well, no, it's how you doing, Christy?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So again, we've been flipping houses for about 10 years now.
Okay.
5 years ago with COVID, that put a really big hurt on the business.
Right.
So here we are trudging, 5 years later, and we're still trudging through this. One of the big problems is investors. So we struggle with, I pay really high interest rates.
Yes. I see
Usually
that.
they're interest only loans. But of course, with the cost of everything right now, material, labor, interest rates have gone up. So that's really impacted the house flipping business.
Right.
So I do currently have a 3-family that we're almost complete. When that sells, that should get us right around $80,000 to $100,000.
Okay.
So the tricky part is by just flipping the houses, we only get paid sometimes 2, 3 times a year.
Okay. So what do you
So
do
in the
in the
meantime,
meantime?
so I'm a plumber by trade, and I had a plumbing company for 20 years prior to house flipping. So that's what I've been doing lately is actually taking on plumbing jobs and remodel jobs just to make up the difference until the property sells.
Okay. So I think I'm trying to figure out what you want me to figure out because I don't know. Without income, you're showing 2,500 approximately in income. Of course, that's not going to do anything for even getting anything accomplished. So I think I try to wrap my head around what it is that you all are needing done here because it sounds like you're flipping houses, you're paying chunks off of maybe bills at that time, but how are you surviving in between? Do you have a large savings fund somewhere that you're living off of or what?
No, usually it's through those interest only loans.
Ouch.
Yeah.
See, my problem is I could make all kinds of suggestions because, your scenario is like everybody else I work with financially, except they have at least some income coming in to cover these monthly payments and expenses. Like if you were $2,000 upside down, I would say, oh, okay, well, you could move into a first lien HELOC with this $1 million that you owe and probably, work out a whole lot better than where you're sitting and we can flip that negative into a positive. But with you telling me that your average income is about 2,500 a month, I don't even have any suggestions to make because I don't have any income, like if you told me our gross income that we can show is 100,000 a year, then I'd be like, okay, then let's look at this. But I think what I'm trying to say is you have two options. You have moving into one of the HELOCs or moving into the Money Max. Both of those are going to help you, but the Money Max even needs at least $50 in cash flow a month for it to be able to help you get out of debt.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Sense.
So as far as a bank, you're not going to be able, and I don't even know, how do you get these high interest loans? What state are you in?
Massachusetts.
What do you take to a bank that they say, okay, yeah, we'll give you a loan so you can buy the house?
Yeah. So again, I have private. So one of them is a private investor. And
Okay.
then the other one is it's more like it's kind of like a low housing type lending.
Okay.
So basically, they hold the second note, so I become the first, and then through the remodel, and once we sell it, we pay them off. But again, back in like 2022,
Yeah,
we showed like 200,000,
Yes.
and what happened was we got hit with like an $80,000 tax bill.
Yeah, me too.
So that
so I'm only giving you the
Cool.
income from the last year, but the year before that, it showed that we made $265,000,
Mhm.
which is about $22,000 a month. And we ended up getting hit with a $65 to $70,000 bill for the IRS.
Yeah.
So we got hit hard
Right.
last October, and we're just now, I think that kind of shocked us, to be honest with you.
I got
Um,
hit. I got hit about like that. It was ridiculous.
so because of that, we ended up pulling an equity to pay 50 grand towards taxes, and then that increased, again, another $1,000 a month, on our
Home equity bill.
on the home equity.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If I were to send you to the Money Max team, for example, what they're going to say when they look at your debt, I know they can help you. I'm not worried about that. I know what that's going to look like on your end, but they're going to look at your debt and they're going to say, okay, either give us an amount of expenses a month and income or tell us what your cash flow is. And if you say, okay, I can put $100 a month towards debt elimination, then they would be like, okay, we can run your numbers based on that. And they're going to look pretty good. I mean, they're going to look really good because you're interest only on those homes. And I'll be glad to do that. But when they run your scenario, and let's just say that they are like, okay, you're going to be out of debt in 9 years. You're going to have to do exactly what that system tells you to do because of the algorithm is going to tell you where to apply whatever payment on whatever debt on this exact date. When you do that, you eliminate the interest. So these interest only things that you're paying, say you've got 140% interest on a home that they're saying is 7%, then they're going to be able to eliminate most of that interest down to 2%. But I think what I'm trying to say is you have to show the income to them as far as that cash flow. That's all they need to see is your cash flow. And so if you're telling me, well, we can bring in $200,000 a month, that we're just showing all of the write-offs so that we can get away from the IRS, I don't blame you one bit. You can still do that. Money Max doesn't care. They don't care what your DTI is. They don't care what your credit score is. All they care about is that you're bringing $100 to the table to put into this. They're going to show you how that $100 is going to work for you because it's a guaranteed product. So they're going to show you what it'll do. And then you just have to make sure that you're doing what Money Max is telling you to do. Can you do that?
Well, we've been able to pay our bills on time for 10 years. Every month, we're able to do it.
Okay.
But again,
And again, so again, like, so for example, like $2,000 off of that budget, once that property sells, like that wipes out that loan.
and a significant amount of debt as well.
Right.
We could certainly wipe off. I think that's the question, Christy, is when we get this, the funds for the sale of this house, we want to really maximize as much monthly savings as we can and not pay off things that you would have recommended not to. We want to get this right, and we just don't want to pay the wrong things. We want to get out of it.
Right. And that makes sense. And that's again, your investors. When my investors come to me, they always want to go to Money Max because of this problem right here. They're doing the same thing. They're buying properties. Your SBA loan is killing you as well. That's pathetic. I hate them. And that was a setup from the government from the get go. I knew it was. I knew that was.
So prior to that, we actually had no debt prior to COVID.
We had one
I had a truck payment
and a mortgage.
and a
That was
small
it.
mortgage for like 200.
We busted it.
Yeah.
We paid off all the debt right
Yeah.
before COVID. Yep.
That's
And then,
horrible.
COVID hit. And then of course, the real estate agents couldn't sell the properties. The building inspectors weren't signing off on the properties. So
It just went downhill real quick
Right.
from there.
and the SBA it's a mess. The rest of it, honestly, I think within a year time, we could probably pay the rest of it off if we continue to work hard.
Mhm.
It's the SBA and it's a couple other little ones that they're beating us up.
Yeah. And it's when I sit and I look that you're throwing away $6,000 a month just on your homes, That's unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
You should be putting that $6,000 a month onto those principal amounts of the homes. And when they do sell, then you've already got equity in it. And now you're making more money because you don't have the debt to pay off. That's the reverse mode this should be in, not
Right.
you.
And we do have equity, like our personal is, 200,000 equity in our personal
Our
Mhm.
home.
property.
Yeah.
And then again, there's probably 100 to 150,000 in one of the flips.
Yeah, and no doubt that you would be able to jump into a first lien HELOC and make a little bit of difference right off the bat. I feel like that Money Max is what you need to at least have a conversation with them. Let them run your numbers, let them show you what that system can do to help you get the debt under control. Even like I said, if you can just tell them you're bringing, so much to the table. The thing is that Money Max is going to pay off your stuff. It's going to get you in a position to where, if even on your primary residence, I guess you're not planning on selling it because you're going to live there,
Well,
right?
we thought of it just to get out of it.
We were desperate, and we put it on the market like a little over a month ago. And then I found out I needed surgery, so we took it off the market.
Yeah. I don't think you need to put it on the market. I think that Money Max can help you tremendously with that because you're paying 150% in interest right now on that, and they could take that down to 2%. But he will take whatever cash flow that you think you can come up with and run your numbers based on that and show you what a difference it will make. Because any of the interest that you're paying right now, they can reduce that to where you're not paying nowhere near what you're paying right now. And some of those payments you're making will actually go towards paying off your properties, paying off your credit cards, instead of just throwing the interest out there. That's what I would like to see happen, where you stop, where most of your money is now going to pay down the debt instead of the interest.